Angie for Canterbury Trails Farm. Today I'm going to show you how to make a quick pillowcase. In the store you can pay anywhere from like $5 to, I don't know, I've seen as far as $38 for a single pillowcase. Essentially it's 1 yard of fabric, and it's not a complicated project. In fact, it's a very easy project, and it's a good project for beginning seamstresses to tackle. It's also a very useful product that everybody needs. I'm going to be making a pillowcase. I'm making 2 pillowcases, flannel pillowcases for my daughters to put in their Easter basket. I got some flannel that are prints like that they would like. My one daughter loves corgis, so I'm making her a corgi pillowcase. So what you need is essentially 1 yard of fabric. Both of these are 36 inches long by 42 inches wide. So you will need to check the width of your fabric, but essentially it is 1 yard of fabric. I'm going to sew these using a French seam, so there are no raw edges in the inside, and this, especially when you're using with flannel, this keeps it from unraveling, and it will also give it a nice finished look. If you don't, this is just on the fold, so it's just 1 yard folded over. If you don't have a continuous width and you need to use 2 separate rectangles, you're going to need 2 36 long by 23 inch wide rectangles, and you can just you'll have an extra seam that I won't be doing because I have a fold that takes care of the one seam. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create the hem at the top, and how I'm going to do that is I'm just going to fold over about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to zigzag this hem, and then I'm going to turn that over again. So let me do that real quick. And if you see me pulling on the front of it, please don't do that on your machine. I'm having problems with my feed dog, feeder, whatever the little thingy is that pulls it through. My other machine is older and only has a straight stitch, and so if I want to do zigzag, I just sort of have to work with this one. That's why you'll see me, if it looks like I'm pulling on it, I'm sort of giving it a little tug here and there. Okay, so I'm doing the bobbin in like a different color so you'll be able to see it on the camera there. So it's just 1/4 of an inch turned over, zigzag. Now we want to make that wider cuff that you see on other pillowcases. Okay, and I want the cuff at the top to be about 3 or 4 inches wide. So let me do that. So I'm going to fold it over. Okay, and then I'm just going to do a straight stitch. I'm just going to do it right over the original stitch that I did on the hem. And you can sort of see him. Like I said, I tried to use a different thread so you could see it. There's the hem. Alright, now I'm going to do the French seaming. And if you've never French seamed before, all it is you sew it. You know how when you're usually sewing, you're looking at the wrong side of the fabric, the inside out part of the product that you're making. To French seam, to begin with, you want to sew it as if the fabric is right side out, and then we'll trim, if we need to, the edges, and we'll turn it inside out, and then we'll re-sew it. This will put the seam on the inside, and it'll be like a fold, and you won't see any raw edges, and it won't unravel. So I'm just using about a 1/2 inch seam allowance here, just 1/2 inch, not 1. I'm going to stop 1/2 inch from the end of the pillow, and I'm going to pivot, leave my needle in the fabric, and pivot my fabric around, press your foot back down, and now I'm going to sew the end of the. So here you can see I have him. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim that, to about 1/8 of an inch close to the seam, the stitches. Now, if you wanted to do this without doing the French seaming, obviously you could do this really fast. If you wanted just to zigzag your edges or hand stitch your edges, or you wouldn't even have to do anything to your edges if you don't want, but the idea is to preserve your hard work and your fabric and your pillowcase for as long as possible, and making sure you have a nice solid edge that isn't going to unravel during washes and dries and wringing and use. So here you have, I've trimmed it about 1/8 of an inch to the seam. Now I'm going to turn it inside out. Now my pillowcase is inside out, and this is actually a good place to go iron it. So let me go hit this with an iron, and I'll be right back. So my seams will lay nice and flat for when I French seam it. It'll be a very nice finish. So now it's I've ironed the edges so that they're nice and crisp. So when I sit down to sew the French seam, see, I'm going to sew on the wrong side of the fabric, and then I'll show you what the seam looks like. So I'm going to be sewing on a again, about, I'll probably use closer to 1 inch seam allowance this time. And when I get to the end, I'm just going to backstitch on this one. Here is the finished inside out. Turn it right side out now. And I will probably finish the edges with a blanket stitch. And there you have it. It's just a pillowcase. And you see the seam on the outside, just regular. On the inside, your seam is totally enclosed, so there's no raw edge. It will make your pillowcase, one, it just looks a lot nicer, and two, it'll make it last a lot longer because you won't have any raw fabric edge to worry about. And there we have it folded up. Looks just like a regular pillowcase that you buy at the store, and you can find remnants of 1 yard remnants. I find all the time nice fabrics, flannels, prints, you know, like novelty prints of whatever little show your kids are into. I used to do all kinds of ones when my kids were little for all different seasons and everything. They're fast to whip up. They're also very fast if you're on a limited budget and you need to a wedding gift or something. You can make sets of them just out of white cotton or whatever. You can embroider on them, and it's a nice little just handmade, practical, functional gift that I can stick in the Easter basket or whatever, Christmas sock. I do, like I said, I do a lot of these, and they're a lot nice little gifts. And they're easy to make. This whole project in real time was probably 10 minutes, and that included my ironing. So, I hope that I've shown you how to do a simple, fast project that has an awesome practical use. Everyone needs a pillowcase. And it's also a very good project if you're trying to teach a child, or just how to sew, or if you're just a beginning sewer and you want a functional product that you can make that boosts your confidence a little bit because of the simplicity level, but it's something you can actually use. And that's what we like to do here at Canterbury Trails Farm. We want things that we can make, show our creativity, but that we're actually using. They're not just some novelty that we're going to stick on the wall or something. It's things that we spend money on and we use, and we will use for years to come. So thank you for joining me today at Canterbury Trails Farm, and I'll see you next time. Bye.